Hi, my friends. We are almost done with Matilda. We only have 2 chapters left. So I believe we have 21 chapters in total. So let me see what number chapter this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So today, there's 21 total. Today we're reading chapter 20 called The Third Miracle. Now it's 11 pages long, and they're kind of long pages, so I think I'm going to split it up into 2 parts, and I'll probably do the same with the last chapter as well. All right, so let's do part 1 of chapter 20 called The Third Miracle. The next day was Thursday, and that, as the whole of Miss Honey's class knew, was the day on which the headmistress would take charge of the first lesson after lunch. In the morning, Miss Honey said to them, "One or two of you did not particularly enjoy the last occasion when the headmistress took the class, so let us all try to be especially careful and clever. How are your ears, Eric, after your last encounter with Miss Trunchbull?" "She stretched them," Eric said. "My mother said she's positive they are bigger than they were." "And Rupert," Miss Honey said, "I am glad to see you didn't lose any of your hair after last Thursday." "Oh, my head was jolly sore afterwards," Rupert said. "And you, Nigel," Miss Honey said, "do please try not to be smart-aleck with the headmistress today. You were really quite cheeky to her last week." "Ugh, I hate her," Nigel said. "Try not to make it so obvious," Miss Honey said. "It doesn't pay. She's a very strong woman. She has muscles like steel ropes." "I wish I was grown up," Nigel said. "I'd knock her out." "Uh-oh." "I doubt you would," Miss Honey said. "No one has ever got the better of her yet." "What will she be testing on us on this afternoon?" a small girl asked. "Almost certainly the 3 times tables," Miss Honey said. "That's what you are all meant to have learned this week. Make sure you know it." Lunch came and went. After lunch, the class reassembled. Miss Honey stood at one side of the room. They all sat silent, apprehensive, waiting. And then, like some giant of doom, the enormous Trunchbull strode into the room in her green breeches and cotton smock. She went straight to her jug of water and lifted it up by the handle and peered inside. "I am glad to see," she said, "that there are no slimy creatures in my drinking water this time. If there had been, then something exceptionally unpleasant would have happened to every single member of the class, and that includes you, Miss Honey." The class remained silent and very tense. They had learned a bit about this tigress by now, and nobody was about to take any chances. "Very well," boomed the Trunchbull. "Let us see how well you know your 3 times table, or, to put it another way, let us see how badly Miss Honey has taught you the 3 times table." The Trunchbull was standing in front of the class, legs apart, hands on hips, scowling at Miss Honey, who stood silent to one side. Matilda, sitting motionless at her desk in the second row, was watching things very closely. "You," the Trunchbull shouted, pointing a finger the size of a rolling pin at a boy called Wilfred. Wilfred was on the extreme right of the front row. "Stand up, you," she shouted at him. Wilfred stood up. "Recite the 3 times tables, backwards," the Trunchbull barked. "Backwards?" stammered Wilfred. "But I haven't learned it backwards." "There you are," cried the Trunchbull, triumphant. "She's taught you nothing. Miss Honey, why have you taught them absolutely nothing at all in the last week?" "That is not true, headmistress," Miss Honey said. "They all have learnt their 3 times table, but I see no point in teaching it to them backwards." "There is little point in teaching anything backwards. The whole object of life, headmistress, is to go forwards. I venture to ask whether even you, for example, can spell a simple word like wrong backwards straight away. I very much doubt it." "Don't you get impertinent with me, Miss Honey," the Trunchbull snapped. Then she turned back to the unfortunate Wilfred. "Very well, boy," she said. "Answer me this. I have 7 apples, 7 oranges, and 7 bananas. How many pieces of fruit do I have altogether? Hurry up. Get on with it. Give me the answer." "That's adding up," Wilfred cried. "That isn't the 3 times table." "You blithering idiot," shouted the Trunchbull. "You festering gumboil. You flea-bitten fungus. That is the 3 times table. You have 3 separate lots of fruit, and each lot has 7 pieces. 3 sevens are 21. Can't you see that, you stagnant cesspool? I'll give you one more chance. I have 8 coconuts, 8 monkey nuts, and 8 nutty little idiots like you. How many nuts do I have altogether? Answer me quickly. Poor Wilfred was properly flustered. Wait, he cried. Please wait. I have to add up 8 coconuts and 8 monkey nuts. He started counting on his fingers. You bursting blister, yelled the Trunchbull. You moth-eaten maggot. That is not adding up. That is multiplication. The answer is 3 8s. Or is it 8 3s? What is the difference between 3 8s and 8 3s? Tell me that, you mangled little Wurzel, and look sharp about it. By now, Wilfred was far too frightened and bewildered even to speak. In 2 strides, the Trunchbull was beside him, and by some amazing gymnastics trick, it may have been judo or karate, she flipped the back of Wilfred's legs with one of her feet so that the boy shot up off the ground and turned a somersault in the air. But halfway through the somersault, she caught him by the ankle and held him, dangling upside down like a plucked chicken in a shop window. Ready to see him? Oh my goodness. 8 3s, the Trunchbull shouted, swinging Wilfred from side to side by his ankle. 8 3s is the same as 3 8s, and 3 8s are 24. Repeat that. At exactly that moment, Nigel, at the other end of the room, jumped to his feet and started pointing excitedly at the blackboard and screaming, The chalk! The chalk! Look at the chalk! It's moving all on its own! So hysterical and shrill was Nigel's scream that everyone in the place, including the Trunchbull, looked up at the blackboard, and there, sure enough, a brand new piece of chalk was hovering near the gray-black writing surface of the blackboard. It's writing something. The chalk is writing something, screamed Nigel. And indeed, it was. All right, my friends, I'm going to stop right there. We'll finish this chapter tomorrow. Bye.